the night of February 16, 1912. Amidst a stormy night in the heart of Barcelona, dim lights wander through the deserted streets, enveloped by an atmosphere of mystery and fear. In this dark night, a terrifying figure emerges, clad in black with a hat concealing their face in its shadow. Their true identity remains shrouded, a character of enigma and dreadful secrets. Meanwhile, a young girl peers out from a neighbor's window, eagerly exploring the outside world. Yet behind this girl lies a story more fantastical than real. A tale closer to fiction than fact. One of the neighbors spots the girl and alerts the authorities. And as the police intervene, a series of horrors begins to unfold. Behind the girl lies something larger and more sinister, beyond the comprehension of the human mind. The topic of this episode is tragically horrifying, and I apologize in advance for the unsettling content you might hear today. The protagonist of our tale today is a woman. A woman stripped of all humanity and compassion. For over 2 decades, she perfected the art of hunting and killing her victims. And what's worse, my friends, is that her victims were innocent children, guiltless, except for being children that no one would inquire about. So, what's the story for today? Who is this woman dubbed by books as the Witch of Barcelona or the Barcelona Vampire? Will the police manage to unveil her identity and stop her in time? Or will the journey of mystery and terror continue through the streets of Barcelona? Join us in this gripping video as we unveil the curtain on one of the city's most puzzling criminal enigmas. And let's listen to her story together. Stay tuned. Before we dive into this episode, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and share it with others. Also, consider subscribing to the channel to stay connected with me. You can further support the channel on Patreon through the link in the description box, allowing us to continue bringing you engaging and fresh content. Your support truly makes a difference for us. Now, let's embark on this journey together. Enriqueta Martí. Enriqueta Martí stands as one of the most notorious criminals throughout history, a serial killer whose chilling legacy was marked by a sinister focus on the innocence of children. She rightfully earned the moniker the Vampire of Barcelona. Born in the Catalonia region of Spain in 1868, her upbringing was marred by severe poverty and hardship. History's annals provide scant details about her early life, except that she left her hometown and journeyed to Barcelona to work as a maid and later a nanny. Yet, it appears that mere financial gains didn't sate her vanity and ambition. Abandoning her occupation, she ventured into upscale brothels, assuming the role of a courtesan. In 1895, she married the painter Joan Pujolet, but this union proved short-lived. According to her husband's testimony during Enriqueta's subsequent trial, her numerous liaisons and frequent visits to disreputable establishments were the primary reasons for their separation in 1909. Enriqueta then established her own establishment, a house of lieurs. However, this establishment was far from any typical brothel that thrived in the districts of Barcelona during that era. Drawing from her prior career, she forged strong connections with the city's elite, leveraging these relationships to her advantage. Her keen insight led her to understand the preferences of these individuals. Unfortunately, her focus was on a particularly vulnerable group, children, cementing her status as a master manipulator in her dark domain. Becoming proficient at currying favor with the dark desires of these twisted individuals. The pressing question: how did Enriqueta manage to obtain and exploit children for her vile purposes? This is the topic we'll delve into in the next segment. Stay with us as we uncover the disturbing truth. Hunting the innocents. By day, Enriqueta would visit the impoverished neighborhoods of Barcelona, disguised as a beggar. Like countless other beggars, she would beg for alms. She camouflaged her true intentions. Yet, her eyes were those of a predator scanning for prey. At the mere sight of vulnerable children without guardians, she lured them with promises of treats, only to swiftly snatch them away and transport them to her den. Once ensnared within the walls of her house of lures, her nefarious preparations for their dark future would begin. As night fell, Enriqueta frequented the upscale nightlife of Barcelona, seeking affluent clientele and offering her twisted services, claiming to fulfill their twisted desires. She was known as the Witch Doctor. Enriqueta dabbled in sorcery, professing to cure the most stubborn of ailments with her special concoctions. Supposedly, these elixirs were composed of entirely natural, organic ingredients, a claim she staunchly stood by. Astonishingly, she wasn't lying. But here's the twist, my friends, the shocker that set her apart. Care to guess what she was really concocting and administering to her unsuspecting victims? Enriqueta and the Witchcraft. Long before opening her eerie house of lures, Enriqueta dabbled in witchcraft for years. Among Barcelona's wealthy circles, she was renowned for her potent elixirs, and it was this reputation that led to the creation of her terrifying establishment. However, she didn't retain the children for long. Her clients desired variety. But where did these discarded children go? The grand tragedy, my friends, lies in the fact that her elixirs were crafted from the remains of her victims, the children. Yes, my friends, as you heard it right, her concoctions were crafted from the remains of innocent children. Enriqueta's sinister trade started with kidnapping children for the ghastly purpose of sacrificing them in her eerie rituals. A chilling revelation, isn't it? After opening her house of lures, she disposed of the children who were no longer of use. According to the macabre tales surrounding this monstrous woman, consuming the blood of children allegedly played a significant role in curing tuberculosis, a rampant disease that instilled fear and panic in the hearts of Barcelona's inhabitants at the time. But wait, there's more. Enriqueta didn't stop at mere elixirs. She concocted cosmetics, creams, and ointments, claiming they could stave off aging and extend life. The wealthy flocked to purchase these products at exorbitant prices, ignorant or perhaps oblivious to the fact that what they applied was derived from the blood, bones, hair, and supple flesh of the unfortunate victims of the night. All this to cater to the desires of the depraved monsters within. It's truly a terrifying reality. The acquired immunity. Her private den of vice drew an elite clientele from the heart of Barcelona. Alongside her regular patrons, those chasing health, longevity, and beauty, she managed to attain a semblance of diplomatic immunity and legal cover. This became glaringly apparent when she was arrested for the first time during what is now known as the tragic week of 1909. During that fateful week, the police raided her apartment in Barcelona and apprehended her, caught with a young man from an affluent family, accused of exploiting children for sexual purposes. Yet, thanks to her influential connections, she was never actually brought to trial. Instead, she was released after a short period, returning to resume her heinous activities and child abductions once again. In the 3 years following her release, more children vanished, aged between 5 and 15 years old. Their poverty-stricken and destitute backgrounds meant their absence went largely unnoticed. Police investigations into their disappearances were minimal at best. Driven by desperation, the families of these children often believed their offspring had found job opportunities, and were content to feed the ravenous mouths. The insidious grip of Enriqueta's influence continued unabated. The beginning of the end. But it seems the end was drawing near. This became evident with the abduction of her final victim. On the 10th of February in 1912, she seized a young girl off the streets, believing her to be a homeless child named Teresita Guitart Congost. This time, the circumstances took a different turn. The girl's family wouldn't be silenced by their daughter's disappearance. For a week, the city was gripped by an intense search for her, spurred on by mounting criticism of the authorities' neglect in investigating sudden child disappearances, a problem that had persisted for 2 decades. The first threads of a solution began to unravel on the 17th of February of that same year. A curious neighbor named Claudia Elias noticed a little girl who bore a striking resemblance to the missing child everyone was looking for. This girl stood behind a window on the first floor of the building where Claudia lived. Perplexed by the sight of this unknown child, Claudia inquired of the apartment's occupant, who turned out to be none other than Enriqueta herself. Yet, Enriqueta didn't respond. She simply closed the window without uttering a word. Claudia's suspicions were piqued. She shared her observations with another neighbor, revealing her belief that this little girl was Teresa, the child the whole city was searching for. This second neighbor had connections to a municipal employee, who then reported the matter to the authorities, especially highlighting Enriqueta's past involvement with child labor. After due deliberation, the authorities decided to take action. On the 27th of February, the police were dispatched to apprehend Enriqueta. After finding her at a private event attended by Barcelona's wealthy elite, they informed her about complaints regarding the presence of chickens in her apartment. This maneuver was intended to prevent her from hiding any incriminating evidence. Initially taken aback by the accusation, Enriqueta, surprisingly, didn't object. Instead, she accompanied the police back to her apartment, seemingly believing that those inside were her captive prisoners. The true surprise awaited her there. Stay tuned, my friends, to uncover the shocking revelation that awaited the police. The House of Horror. The police didn't discover just one child. In addition to the missing girl, Elisita, they found another girl named Angelita. Both girls were taken into police custody for questioning. Starting with Elisita, she recounted how Enriqueta lured her with a piece of candy, covering her with a black carpet until they reached the apartment. There, Enriqueta cut the girl's hair and informed her that she would now be known as Felicitas, no longer having a family, and that she must refer to Enriqueta as her mother. Elisita further revealed that she and another girl were prohibited from roaming the apartment freely or approaching windows and certain rooms. Enriqueta had become accustomed to leaving them there alone. One day, the two girls dared to explore the house, only to stumble upon a truly horrifying sight. A bag containing bloody clothes and a knife, also covered in blood. After Elisita's statement, she was returned to her family. Then, the police turned their attention to the other girl, Angelita. This proved to be more challenging, as she didn't know her father's name or any details about her family. The police couldn't even be certain if Angelita was her real name. Enriqueta persisted in claiming that Angelita was her biological daughter from a previous marriage. However, her ex-husband appeared in court, confirming that he had been separated from Enriqueta for years and had never fathered any children with her. It was then that Enriqueta confessed to abducting Angelita from one of her relatives shortly after birth, falsely claiming that the child's mother had died due to premature childbirth. What Angelita revealed in her confession shocked everyone. She told investigators about a 5-year-old boy named Pito, whom Enriqueta had brought to the apartment before Teresa's abduction. The young girl described witnessing her mother, as she referred to Enriqueta, murder the unfortunate child on the kitchen table. She recounted how Enriqueta dissected and dismembered the child using a special knife. It is truly a terrifying matter, isn't it, my friends? The horror didn't end here. The search expanded into the chilling apartment, as well as the other apartments that the butcher Enriqueta had occupied. The horror continued to unfold. In addition to the bag that the girls had been informed about, the police discovered another bag brimming with clothes soaked in blood. But that wasn't the most unsettling discovery. They found a bag containing no less than 30 small human bones. The apartment was permeated with nauseating odors. As the investigation delved deeper, they uncovered a room adorned with the clothes of young children. Some of these garments bore traces and the sickening scent of blood. The police were confronted with an increasingly macabre scene, revealing the extent of Enriqueta's sinister activities. Real horror. In another room, the true horror came to light. This room unveiled a nightmare beyond imagination. Within its confines, the police stumbled upon more than 50 vessels and jars, each containing preserved human remnants. Blood, fat, children's hair, tiny skeletal structures, ground bones. All belonged to young children. Alongside these macabre containers, law enforcement also discovered cosmetic products and ointments prepared for sale, a chilling juxtaposition of beauty and grotesque. Isn't it a truly terrifying scene, my friends? Within the same apartment, the police made another intriguing discovery. Leather-bound volumes adorned with illustrations, symbols, and eerie recipes, concocted from human remains. In addition, there were small documents listing names of individuals hailing from Barcelona's most esteemed families, believed to be the regular clientele of Enriqueta. But the police's investigation didn't stop at this apartment alone. They conducted a comprehensive search throughout all the residences Enriqueta had inhabited. The findings were staggeringly shocking. In every apartment, traces of human remains were discovered within the walls and concealed ceilings. Vessels teeming with human remains, akin to those found in the initial apartment, were scattered across these spaces. Yet, the horrors didn't end there. In the garden of one residence, the police uncovered a child's skull. A forensic examination later revealed its age to be merely 3 years old. Alongside the skull, a collection of bones belonging to individuals aged between 3 to 8 years old were unearthed. Some bones still clung to tatters of clothing. Law enforcement confirmed that these remains belonged to children from underprivileged backgrounds, a grim testament to the lengths of Enriqueta's malevolence. The infamous Sagas End. Certainly, Enriqueta Martí was imprisoned. There was no escaping the horrors that were uncovered and discovered. During her time in custody, awaiting her trial, she attempted suicide by slashing her wrists. However, she was saved at the last moment. On the other hand, the public opinion urged the authorities to take extreme measures to prevent her from ending her own life. The populace eagerly anticipated her trial and public execution as a gruesome retribution for the atrocities she had committed against innocent children. True to form, the authorities placed her under strict protection. Yet, fate seemed to have another plan. Enriqueta didn't stand trial and never received her final sentence. She passed away a year and 3 months after her arrest. She met her end on the gallows, executed by the hands of her fellow inmates, in front of the other prisoners. It was a chilling and grim conclusion, fitting for the horrifying chapter she had authored. Unlocking the truth behind the execution. A multitude of theories emerged to justify this execution, each carrying its own chilling tale. Some argued that the imprisoned women couldn't bear the weight of Enriqueta's heinous actions and sought revenge for the innocent children's lost lives. Others believed it was a demonstration of power and authority within the prison's walls. Yet, the prevailing belief, embraced by newspapers and periodicals, painted a darker picture. It suggested that the female inmates were incentivized to carry out Enriqueta's execution, likely at the hands of those who had once funded her operations, the powerful and influential individuals who harbored unspeakable desires. The police report, crafted to quell public outcry, cunningly stated that the cause of death was bladder cancer. With this official announcement, Enriqueta, the Vampire of Barcelona, was declared deceased on May 12, 1913. Thus, the curtain fell on one of the most terrifying crimes of the era, yet it left us unable to tally the true count of victims claimed by this fiend. Her reign of terror spanned 2 decades, during which she continued to hunt her prey, relishing in their torment and delivering them to the embrace of death. Unveiling the lessons within. The story of Enriqueta Martí stands as one of the most chilling and captivating tales in the history of Spain, if not the world. It's a haunting dance between mystery and horror, intertwining imagination and reality, leaving behind an unsolved enigma that continues to intrigue us to this day. Who's to say? Enriqueta might have been one of history's most prolific serial killers in terms of victims, but surely she wasn't the only deranged one in this crime. Yet, she was the one who paid the price, the sacrificial lamb. Her partners in crime reveled and frolicked, capitalizing on the chaos they sowed, relishing the influence they wielded. I hardly believe this is a crime that won't repeat itself. Today's circumstances might not be drastically different from the past's. Isn't that right, my friends? So, here it is, the tale of Enriqueta Martí, a woman who turned monstrous in her deeds, shedding all semblance of femininity. The tragedy lies in the fact that her victims were innocents, children who bore no guilt or sin, except for being poor. Neither the world nor society spared them, they vanished, unanswered and unmissed, becoming succulent morsels for twisted souls. But Enriqueta Martí isn't the sole bloodsucker who preyed on the impoverished young. History is replete with such tales of tragedy, and sadly, the present might not be much better, it could even be worse. The exploitation of poor and homeless children remains a pervasive issue, carefully camouflaged under various euphemisms and labels. Now, my friends, what do you make of what you've heard? How did Enriqueta strip herself of all humanity? Was her end just? Or should measures have been taken against those who concealed her atrocities? Share your thoughts, my dear friends. I eagerly await your opinions and comments on this matter. Stay well. And don't forget to like the video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Support the channel on Patreon through the link in the description. Your support makes a difference, enabling us to continue bringing you engaging and novel content. Stay tuned. Something exciting is coming soon.